glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the 49ers versus Dallas Cowboys wild card game plan video. We're going to be going through what the 49ers need to do to attack this Dallas Cowboys offense and attack this Dallas Cowboys defense. It's going to be a fun time, Alex. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I'm excited about this conversation. Game plan videos are some of our favorites because we coached and still have coached a lot of games, teams, sports, different things. And so game planning was probably, I think, the two things that I think was the thing that we enjoyed the most as coaches, just because it's the X's and O's factor. It's trying to predict what your opponent's going to do, what your moves are going to be to stop it, what your counter is going to be based on the adjustments that you think they're going to make. It's the prep work. It's the grind for a coach. And then, the implementation of said grind that you put in to get your team to execute and go out there and dominate. And when it works well, right, it's glorious and everything goes exactly the way you want it to. And then when it doesn't, you get tested and you have to make adjustments. And we saw that. We saw that last week for the 49ers, the Rams game. Sean McVay was very dialed into what the Niners wanted to do early, and there wasn't a lot of success. But guess what? Kyle Shanahan, DeMeco Ryans, really good at adjusting, Ant. Really, really good at it. And that second half was not the same first half that we saw. We saw the execution go up. We saw the way that the Niners tried to attack and the way they established the run game and things of that nature really changed. And the Rams could not continue doing the same things that they started early in the game doing.
Yeah, and I'm glad this finally starting to dispel the narrative that Kyle Shanahan can't finish football. Because right now the 49ers have been going in and finishing games in the second half. It's actually slower starts this year than they've ever had. Usually they got off to hot starts and then had to hold on at the end. I think it has helped him develop, a way to win in the beginning and win in the end. I don't think he's afraid of it anymore. He just wants to go out there and attack and use whatever personnel he has to go get the job done. I think more than ever, he's more aggressive than he's ever been. He's taken to two teams, but in the same regard, trying to stay balanced and trying to keep the offense balanced. And I think that's going to be a lot of what he does in this football game. And I think that's the main reason. That's why I said in the our preview show is that he's going to go in there and attack with the run game. They're going to want to establish this run game. They're going to want to get Dallas on their heels. They're going to want to make this offensive line feel comfortable. And the way you do that is by moving forward. And moving forward in the run game is always a good thing. Once you start imposing your will on a defense, the defense will have to adjust to stop it. And as soon as they do, it opens up other avenues for you to be able to attack. But you can't do that until you start this, get this run game rolling. You've seen what happened when the Rams had to commit corners and safeties and everyone to this box and to stop this run game. It opened up areas where Jimmy Garoppolo could be successful or where Deebo Samuel could be successful throwing the football. So many things are there, and the 49ers' variety of ways in which they attack through the run game has been one of the things that has been fun to watch. And I look forward to seeing how they attack this Dallas Cowboys defense.
I agree with you, man. It's going to be very interesting to see how they choose to attack, what they want to do, how they want to go about doing it, and how it changes throughout the game. Because we both know that Dallas is going to alter the things that they do, and they're going to show some things that they haven't necessarily shown against a lot of other teams. I imagine we're going to see 5 down linemen at times. We're going to see situations where they got 8, maybe even 9 in the box loading up to really try and slow down this run game, because you and I both know if the 49ers get the run game going, it opens up everything else in this offense. It opens up how they attack, where they can attack, and what they want to do. And look, Deebo Samuel is the primary catalyst in all of that. Deebo Samuel's ability to not only operate extremely well over the middle of the field, short stuff, screen game, deep as well, his ability to go in the backfield and run the football causes problems for teams. And you have to account for him in the backfield. And that also makes it a big problem, because if you have him and Elijah Mitchell back there, this may look like a run set, it may feel like a run set. The Niners may even load up like a run set, Ant, but they can still pass the ball effectively out of it, because even when they're loaded up in a run set in which Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell are in the backfield with maybe George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk lined up in tight, that is still a formation in which you can throw the ball out of. And now the emergence of Juwan Jennings as well has made it so that Deebo Samuel, no matter where he lines up on the field, you have to account for him, but you're also leaving yourself open and susceptible to being beat over the middle of the field, deep, outside with the wrong matchup one-on-one.
Yeah, and I watched Johnny Dell's breakdown Johnny Dale had a great breakdown. In fact, of the one where Brandon Ayuk gets completely open on the outside. It's all predicated off the run, of course. Establish that run and then these concepts. But because the 49ers run a speedo concept, which is a guy running a crosser across the middle or an over route, and then you have the other guy running the deep part, the Rams were jumping on those routes, and early in the game, they took those away. What the 49ers did was adjust on the fly. This is the Kyle Shanahan, effect. Is Deebo Samuel broke off and then was covered by 3 guys over the middle, and Brandon Ayuk, instead of running deep where the safety was going to be, broke off and caught the ball and underneath that. That is a huge adjustment. That's one of the things. Just because you know a team well, that could also be a weakness down the road. You start jumping routes, you start committing too much to it, and they take advantage of it. But that's a 2-man route concept. That means it's a heavy run look, and that's because once you've established this run and you get the other team fearful of that, because nothing is more fearful to a team, and I don't think anyone that hasn't played, they might struggle to understand this. Nothing is more fearful to a team than getting absolutely ran over. The run game consistently getting 4, 5, 6 yards a carry and running like they did against the Rams at one point, 10 straight plays. That sort of thing wears on you more than a 90-yard touchdown. Because it's something you can't stop. It's like you started getting frustrated. Why can't I do that? Why can't we make this play? You see Jalen Ramsey start acting up. These are types of things that the 49ers want to do, and that's what they did in the 2019 playoffs. Minnesota Vikings stressed out. Green Bay Packers stressed out. So that's what the 49ers want to establish, and once they do, it opens up everything else, including 2-man routes, but a lot of huge plays down the field. Famously, the one that Jimmy Garoppolo throws the interception over the middle, he has Travis Benjamin on a post pattern, what would have been an absolute huge play, probably a touchdown, but he's not able to step into his throw. He's got to throw it 50 yards in the air. And he can't because he got pressure into his legs. But those are the opportunities that are afforded to you by getting this run game going.
I mean, it is, man. Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel, that combination of those two guys has been exactly what the 49ers offense needs. Raheem Mostert going down. You and I both early in the season, when Raheem Mostert went down, it was like, okay, it's on Elijah Mitchell now.
Yeah.
Because he's the only guy that adds a speed aspect in this backfield. If he's not able to get going, this run game is going to have no success. It's going to have no legs. We're not going to be able to do anything, and we're going to see an offense that's going to struggle at times because you're going to put the onus on Jimmy Garoppolo to be a guy to go out and throw the ball 40 times every game. And as much as I like Jimmy Garoppolo, that's not a Jimmy Garoppolo strength. And can he do it when you need him to do it? 100% he can throw the ball 40 times, and the Niners can get a win. But is that something that he wants to do or that Kyle Shanahan wants to do? No. Kyle Shanahan talked about that in his presser earlier this week as well. He talked about needing to rely on both early in his career with Houston, with the Texans, when he was calling plays out there. That team was built to throw. So it was a lot of teams, Ant, that threw the ball a bunch, was top 4, top 5 in passing yards, but was 17th, 31st in the rush. And he goes, and then I get to Washington, and that's what I want to do. And I get there, and I'm like, oh, team can't do that. And now you have to turn back the clock and go back to a little bit more of a running game and being able to run the ball effectively and efficiently. And he talked about how he learned a lot in those first few years in 2 different organizations, 2 different places in which the scheme and the personnel was so different that you had to adjust as a coach. And it actually said, it makes me better. It made me better as a coach, but it always makes you better as a coach if you can adjust to your personnel and what you have. So the fact that he was able to adjust to Elijah Mitchell, the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo and this team, and he's adjusted around Jimmy and his strengths and what he can and can't do well, and they found that balance of being able to throw the ball when necessary, but lean on that run game when you need to. Elijah Mitchell's a big credit to that, and you and I both think we're going to need to do that going into this game against the Cowboys because it is an area where they have struggled at times, is stopping that run game, not being able to set the edge and be dominant in the run-stopping aspect.
Yeah, they have 2 traditional defensive ends that are pretty good at it.
Yes.
Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence are good, at stopping the run. You have, of course, Van Der Esch. He's a good, solid linebacker. They have potential there. The problem is they're not able to do it consistently. The stress that the 49ers are going to put on them on the edge as well, because they're going to bring up Micah Parsons onto the outside at times and want to bring him from there. He's not good at stopping the run.
No.
He had 13 sacks this season. That's fantastic. As an edge rusher, great. But setting the edge is something different in the run game. And the 49ers are going to put so much stress on him because he doesn't know if he's going to get stock blocked, reach blocked. He doesn't know if he's going to have George Kittle or Kyle Juszczyk coming back at him. And, if he's playing off the line of scrimmage, he doesn't know if he's going to have Jawan Jennings cracking back on him.
True.
There's going to be a lot of different things that he has to pay attention to, all the while keeping his eyes trained on what he sees in front of him. Because it's sometimes if you just peek into the backfield, you're not going to see a blocker coming from the other side. You have to keep an eye on these guys coming back, whether it's linemen or running backs, like Kyle Juszczyk, Jeff Wilson Jr. coming back in motion. Also, guys coming back to hit you and kick you out. These are all tough things to do and train your eyes to do as a rookie. He is a fantastic rookie linebacker, fantastic player, but this is a different animal that he's going to be going against this week. They are going to have to play absolutely disciplined defense, the Cowboys are, because the 49ers are going to stress them in so many ways. You want to be aggressive. You want to fly downhill. If you do, the 49ers hit you with the counter play, the gap plays. You want to play it straight, and all of a sudden they outman you on that side because they run a motion or they get outside. They make one guy miss. They hook someone they shouldn't have been able to hook. There's so much stress on this Cowboys defense, and the 49ers are going to be able to do it all. So they're going to find out what they do in these first few plays. They're going to, of course, use motion. They're going to get probably a choice play where you're going to get Elijah Mitchell a choice, a half pitch. He's going to have a decision. He can go, off tackle, or he can cut back against the grain, depending on how those linebackers are playing. They're going to get a real good feel early. If this running game gets going early, which I believe it can, and they start ripping off 4, 5, 6 yards of carry, I think that this Dallas Cowboys team is going to creep guys into the box because Dan Quinn knows what Kyle Shanahan will do. He knows he'll run it 45, 50 times on him if that means he's going to go to the next round of the playoffs. So they'll bring guys in. When that happens, Trayvon Diggs and these guys on the back end, they're going to make a mistake, and then Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to get the ball to one of his big-time playmakers, and then that's when they'll take advantage.
And look, it could be Brandon Ayuk, it could be George Kittle, but at the end of the day, it's going to fall on Jimmy Garoppolo when that time comes. When teams start loading the box up, and I've heard this a bunch. I've heard it from fans. I've heard it from my father. I've heard it from countless people. Niners are running the ball effectively, and all of a sudden they start throwing. Why are they throwing? Why would you stop? Because they got 9 guys in the box, and the 10th guy is the safety who's coming down the hill because he's seeing run. I mean, teams will do this because they know Kyle Shanahan will just run it. And that is one of the differences. We've talked about this with Cliff Kingsbury. We've talked about this with Kellen Moore coming this weekend, as well as Mike McCarthy. There are certain coaches that have not proven they will just do something because it's working, even though deep down, somewhere inside of them, they don't want to. They want to throw. Those guys will scratch that itch. They'll throw when they shouldn't, when there's no need to. When something is working and a team hasn't adjusted yet, they'll go do it anyway. Kyle Shanahan, that is not who he is. So teams know that. So what do teams do? They adjust. And most of the time, the adjustment that we've seen is an overcorrection. It is loading up the box and basically saying, do it. I double dog dare you to throw, Ant. And he's going to need to be able to, in those moments, deal. Whether that's George Kittle, whether it's B.A., Jawan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk. He's got a plethora of weapons, and it can be literally any one of those guys. Jawan Jennings hasn't been an option for the 49ers. Last week, he was, and he was a very crucial one on a lot of big third downs. The only difference is that I don't believe the Cowboys have that guy, that one guy who is going to lock one person down.
Yeah.
I know Cowboys fans feel it's Trayvon Diggs, but Trayvon Diggs has to prove it. And he has to prove it against someone who isn't an NFC East wide receiver. Because in the NFC East, Trayvon Diggs' stat numbers are absolutely bonkers. They're off the walls. Non-NFC East opponents, not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and one of the biggest NFC East receivers, Devontae Smith, was a former teammate. So he's going to have an understanding of what he does and what his movements are. But there's going to be ways that you can attack this Cowboys defense because they're also, we brought this up earlier in the week, 31st against, yards after the catch. That's not good. And the 49ers are going to be able to get the ball into their playmakers' hands. And you're right. I don't fear a matchup of any one of our wide receivers on Trayvon Diggs. I think Trayvon Diggs can lock up Jawan Jennings. I think you can do that. But if for some reason he's covering Jawan Jennings, that means Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle are matchup issues for everyone else. They're that good. And that's not including if you have a running back coming out of the backfield like Kyle Juszczyk. There's going to be certain times that I think they're going to sit in zone and they're going to expect Jimmy Garoppolo to beat them. And the one thing that Kyle Shanahan's been doing very well is they've muddied up some of these concepts. So early in the season, Alex, you know this as well as I do. The 49ers were getting hurt and Jimmy Garoppolo was getting hurt by the robber concept. They were showing too deep and then they were bringing that safety into the box, kind of in that intermediate range and helping take away Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and these crossers. Well, now what the 49ers have done has been put someone there to occupy that guy. Jimmy Garoppolo stare that guy down, hold him in his position, and then hit somebody just outside on the seam up the hash mark. They've been doing it consistently now. They did it in this game. The Rams ran a lot of robber concepts, and Jimmy Garoppolo absolutely ate them up and hit Brandon Ayuk with some big plays. So I think this is something that was working early on, and what you're finding out is the 49ers are evolving. They've seen how teams wanted to attack them, and they're going in and taking advantage of those things. So we've seen it for multiple weeks now. The week before against the Texans, Jawan Jennings ran a little skinny post concept. Brandon Ayuk with the same thing on the outside, and he hit Ayuk in that open window. The play to George Kittle, where Jalen Ramsey gets the interception, it's a bad throw because he's got pressure, but it's the right read. I know that everyone said he threw into triple coverage, but it was broke down great by Johnny Dells, and it is 100% the right read. He just makes a bad throw on it. So Jimmy Garoppolo's reading the defense at an all-time high. This is kind of the best that I've seen him so far, and I think that that's going to be a problem for the Cowboys, because I don't think the Cowboys can come up with a game plan to confuse him at this point. I think he understands with the personnel groupings he has, with the motions, it tips the hand of what he's going to see, and no longer are the robber concepts confusing him.
And if the robber concepts aren't confusing him, this is going to be a major, major issue for a lot of football teams because of the weapons that just came up on the screen, right? With the Deebo Samuels of the world and what he does and as a route runner and the physicality of being able to catch the ball underneath. If he's running a short route, you can't just let him catch the ball in space. You got to collapse down. That opens up that intermediate aspect of the field where Brandon Ayuk can have success and he can make plays. And we saw him catch the ball. We've seen him run after the catch. And what do we know about the Cowboys? More yards run against the catch than 31 teams. Only one team is worse than them, Ant. So they are the second worst team in the league at giving up run after the catch yards. Elijah Mitchell should be able to get things going on the ground, but it all comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo and him being able to read that field like you talk about, being able to see and diagnose. And look, Johnny Dell, he broke it down great. I agree with you 100%. I watched a little bit of that video and was like, whoo, boy almighty. But listen, I've been feeling this way about Jimmy all season. I felt like he's been slowly getting there. Wasn't great at the start, but what we've seen the last 8-9 weeks from Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy who not only understands the offense but also understands what this moment is, what this team is, what this opportunity is that's in front of him, and he's making the most of it. He's taking chances. He's taking risks. Kyle talked about it a little bit in his presser this week as well, where he said, Jimmy right now is seeing everything that he needs to see. He's taking chances, and sometimes that means, making some tough throws, and sometimes those pan out for you, and sometimes they don't. And he goes, and there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league who make that throw and turn it over, and there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league who are really good at avoiding that mistake, even though they'll take those chances. It's just a risk. You have to take them at times, especially to make the defense, be honest. Hey, if you're going to give me these windows, I'm going to throw it, even if it's super tight. And Jimmy has done it, and he's doing it with the thumb as well. So now teams, like you talked about with that robber concept, you're bringing it down. Well, that means you're leaving areas for the Niners to be able to attack. And Jimmy Garoppolo is showing you that even though he is limited to an extent, he's not limited enough to not pull the trigger.
Well, he's not limited here.
Right.
And he's not limited mentally. And that's really what it comes down to is right now he's letting that guide his way. So he knew what he was seeing in these games. And Kyle Shanahan is doing a very good job of giving him simple concepts that are going to make the reads very easy. The one with Jawan Jennings, you had a complete overcommitment when they had the touchdown to tie the game. You had an overcommitment not only to Brandon Ayuk, but to Deebo Samuel as well. And this is what happens. That's the Deebo effect. And that's where I'm concerned about concern for Dallas, is how they're going to be able to handle all the things that Deebo Samuel does, because you do have to commit somebody to him. If not, he's going to rip off a 38 yards on a screen, or he's going to take a run for over 20 yards before a touchdown. You have to worry every single time Deebo Samuel moves around in the pocket, moves around behind the line of scrimmage. I think that that's just a big stress for everyone. And I think that's what helps these guys going. But I do think this is the week where George Kittle reestablishes himself as one of the best tight ends in the league. I think there's some matchup issues. And because he's not going to have the most attention, the Texans try to take him away. The Titans try to take him away. The Rams try to take him away. Covering Jalen Ramsey sometimes. The Cowboys aren't doing that. If they try to put Trevon Diggs on him, he will beat Trevon Diggs. He's going to body him. So I think that this is a matchup issue for him, and I think George Kittle gets it going in this game. Too much attention to Deebo means Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are the guys they go to. So I think this is going to be a nice bounce-back game for him.
I agree with you there, Ant. But let's move over to the defensive side of the football because, listen, the strength of this Cowboys team is the pieces defensively that they have. They have weapons across the board, but offensively they have a butt-ton of weapons.
Yep.
And it starts obviously with Dak Prescott. It starts with Ezekiel Elliott and the run game. And if they're able to get the run game going and have success there, it's going to make Dak Prescott's job even easier and Kellen Moore's job easier and Mike McCarthy's job easier because they're going to throw the football at some point. But if the run game is going, the Niners have to respect it, which means potentially creeping up a safety, keeping a guy extra there coming down, and the Niners don't want to have to do that. They want to win with the front seven. And listen, I think the addition of Dre Greenlaw, we saw it last week. That may have been the most dominant run defense we've seen from the San Francisco 49ers in some time. And Dre Greenlaw, and the addition of him back into this lineup with Fred Warner, it's just made Fred play more free. The defensive line has continued to play at an all-time level. And now you have a guy who comes up and is a surefire tackler who's also, he hasn't played. I mean, truly, yes, he played a little bit later in the season when he came back from the groin injury, but he was in for half of a game, maybe. This is his first full amount of action since week one, and you can tell the energy that he's playing with right now is electric.
Yeah, I think he was a little amped up last week, and he made a few mistakes, whether that was coverage or just penalties, grabbing the face mask and such. But I think he's going to settle in, and the Dre Greenlaw that we're going to get is the one we expected, a Pro Bowl caliber player. So now you've added a Pro Bowl caliber player to this defense that was already one of the best against the run, pretty much since week 7.
Accurate.
And I think that they're gonna reassert themselves this week. And I think it'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys do it. If they try to bring in extra offensive linemen, extra tight ends, and come after the 49ers and put the 49ers in a 4-3 base set, or if they try to spread it out with 3 wide receivers, put on the field, Cedric Wilson, and then go after K'Wan Williams in this.
What would you think? What would you think ideally they're going to try and do? Because I look at it and think that I believe they will try and spread them out. I think they're going to try and spread out. I don't think they're going to try and load up. I think they saw the Rams trying to load up last week, and they're like, it's not worth the attempt. Let's see if we can space them out a little bit. Even maybe put situations where you get Tony Pollard out there in space and use him in motion, coming away to try and get misdirection to create lanes to run up underneath on the inside.
I think you're right. There's some spread situations that are going to cause problems. But I do think that they're going to try to load up as well, because I think they're going to try to take advantage of Azeez Al-Shaair.
Okay.
If Al-Shaair is out there, they're going to try to get Ezekiel Elliott or Pollard one-on-one in situations where he has to cover him. I think the problem is this is not early on in the season. So it won't be him. It'll be Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner. And the Niners are perfectly willing to leave one of those other guys in the middle and let Fred go travel with one of these guys. But the Cowboys are going to have to find that out for themselves. So I think they're going to try both methods and see which one works. And I have a newsflash for him. I don't think either one is going to work, because K'Wan Williams is excellent in those fits. And I believe the 49ers 3 linebacker group, the way that they're constituted now, with Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner being able to cover backs and tight ends out of the backfield, they can leave Azeez. And Azeez is so good against the run that it's actually a benefit for the 49ers to have him playing there. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a different animal for them to tackle. But if they get the running game going, you're right. That's when the offense will open up for them. That's when, Dak can take shots down the field and put, these cornerbacks who the 49ers are trying to protect in bad situations. But if we don't have to have Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward around the line of scrimmage, and we can have them back playing a 2-deep look and protecting Amari Thomas especially, Emmanuel Mosley can get it done for the most part. I think there'll be opportunities for them to help him as well. But I think that these are going to be, the situation the Niners need to attack, take advantage of, and protect Amari Thomas at pretty much all costs.
I agree with you on that, Ed, that they definitely need to protect Amari Thomas at all costs. It'd be important for them to do that as best they can. And listen, I think if you're able to slow down the run game, it makes it a little bit easier because you keep those 2 safeties back. But you know what else makes it easier, Ant?
Pressure.
Well, pressure does as well. But before pressure, how about the fact that you got Agent 3 back out on the field in Jaquiski Tartt with your boy Jimmy Ward, you can see there on the field right now.
Yeah.
And listen, the both of them are huge for this 49ers defense. DeMeco Ryans has shown he can scheme up in a huge way, having both of those guys out there. The disguises he's able to pull together, both of their abilities to step up in the run game and fill is huge, because now you're not having to rely on one guy to come up. Both guys can, which means you can have multiple guys covering multiple angles, cutback lanes, things of that nature, and even at times setting the edge if they're coming down and filling up in the box. This is absolutely huge for the Niners. I think this is one of our biggest concerns coming into this game. The fact that you have Jaquiski Tartt now out there on the field means you can go to cover 1 situations. You can go to cover 3 situations comfortably. You can bring Jimmy Ward down to literally just press cover sometimes as well, and basically erase some guys in the slot. Because with K1 on one side and Jimmy Ward being able to cover the other side as well, you don't have to turn to another cornerback, and you don't have to turn to a Diamond Lenore. You don't need to turn to a Josh Norman to come on the field. Jimmy Ward can come down in space and cover those guys one-on-one, man-to-man.
Yeah, I worry about the Niners going man-to-man against the Cowboys. Number one, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are very good at winning, especially against press coverage. That concerns me. The other thing that concerns me is Dak Prescott's legs. he's able to get outside the pocket and, man against a man, they'll be turning running the other way and he could take off running. I think those are not good situations. So I think you're going to see more zone, especially on third down, which can be a problem for the 49ers. When they're sitting in zone coverage, they can get picked apart a little bit. So it's going to be important for the 49ers to win on early downs, win on first, win on second. Whether that's a run or pass, they need to make sure they make plays. That's why pressure is going to be a key in this game. Getting these 49ers defensive linemen to cause pressure on early downs and get sacks and then play in front of the sticks later on. Because if you got, a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 10, you can play in front of those sticks, rally and make tackles. We have some of the best tackling defensive players in the league. And all of a sudden you get off the field. You only have to prevent them from getting, the necessary yardage. So I think that's going to be the game plan, but you have to go ahead and win on those early downs. If the Cowboys start having, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, they're going to be able to convert more times than they're not. This is going to be an important part of the game for the 49ers. Let's see how they attack it. And let's see what happens on those obvious third down, pass situations, 3rd and 8 plus, if the 49ers bring pressure. Dak Prescott struggled with pressure against Arizona. Will the 49ers bring pressure and then run zone behind it? That's going to be something to watch. I think we will see K'Wan Williams coming at times. We saw the fact that now that Fred Warner is able to be freed up, that a lot of times he came on blitzes and he got a huge sack in the game. So the 49ers linebackers in blitzes as well, now that Dre's back, is going to be a big part of this game.
I agree with you on that, man. It really, truly will. The things you can do with all of these guys, now that you have all these pieces, this is the closest to 100% that we've seen this defense all season long, which is huge. It's a huge get for the Niners because the defense has been playing as well as it has. And it couldn't come at a better time because you are playing a formidable offense in Dak Prescott, in Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin, Cedric Wilson. I mean, the names and the list goes on and on and on. They have talent everywhere offensively, and that's not to take away from their O-line, which has been playing very, very well and very solidly. Now, granted, they've been dealing with some injuries, but it looks like most of those guys are going to be good to go. So you're going to have two teams, Ant, with not a lot of excuses. Pieces on both sides of the ball, weapons everywhere, and it's going to come down to execution and who can establish and impose their will on their opponent. If the Niners run game gets going, the Niners offense is going to have some success early. If the Cowboys are able to get, good runs on first down, positive plays on second downs and put themselves in third and shorts, third and extremely manageables more often than not, then the Cowboys offense is going to consistently be able to move the sticks and control the ball, which is not necessarily a positive for the 49ers in this defense. Now, granted, you have the pieces up front and the depth up front that your pass rush should still be able to get home. But if you're in third and shorts, third and manageables, Dak's not having to hold onto the football. And that's not a good thing for the 49ers D-line because they need to get after Dak. They need to put pressure on him. We cannot give him time to get rhythm throws. 3 steps, hit that back foot, get rid of it. The Niners' first down, early downs is very important for the 49ers defense. It's extremely important for the 49ers defense. Jimmy has shown that he can execute on second downs and get you into third and manageable, so I'm not as worried if first down plays don't necessarily go according to the game script early in the game, because I do expect Kyle Shanahan to adjust in the second half and for the 49ers to have opportunities in the second half to have some drives to put up some points.
Yeah, and I think the familiarity with Dan Quinn is going to be something that Kyle Shanahan can lean on. However, sometimes you can talk yourself into things like, well, Dan knows I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do this. And you can kind of just, take yourself out of some things.
Make him prove it first?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you go out there and you say, you know what, Dan might know what I'm going to do, but he can't stop it. And I think that's more the attitude you have to have. Just because somebody knows you, it doesn't mean they're going to be able to stop it. So early on in the game, it's a filling out process. We'll see how they attack. I think the 49ers will try to get after them early run game. There's been other weeks where, I've lauded for them to go ahead and throw the ball to, kind of stretch this defense, loosen it up a little bit. I don't think that's the case this time. I think you establish the run early. You get the Cowboys to creep up because I do believe Dan Quinn is going to want to sit back and see if he can stop them, with 7 or 8 guys in the box. And then, we'll see how they overplay. But they just saw the way the Rams got taken advantage of. Once you had to commit the extra guys, once you committed Jalen Ramsey reading and crack blocks and that sort of thing, then all of a sudden now you can take advantage of it. So I think Dan Quinn's going to be a little bit cautious. And I think Kyle Shanahan needs to be the aggressor in this situation. Get after with the run game, hold nothing back. Because once you get this run game established, you can really wear on that defense. And if you start wearing on that defense and taking advantage of the time of possession, you can make the Dallas Cowboys in a world of hurt. So that's what I'm hoping they do. Let's see if they go ahead and attack it and get right after it. But I think the way that they've changed this run game throughout the year, you've seen the progressions. You've seen how defenses play the 49ers early. First it was the run game. The 49ers figured out how to overcome that. Then it was the pass game. Now the 49ers have figured out how to overcome that. They're overcomers. Now can a defense come up with something the 49ers haven't seen yet?
That's going to be the key. And listen, every defensive coordinator keeps things. They hide some things. They save some things for the last minute. But is there anything that the Niners haven't seen? Is there anything that Kyle hasn't seen? And he knows Dan Quinn very well. So can he come up with anything that Kyle's not familiar with, that Kyle didn't watch him unveil during his time in Atlanta or during this year with the Cowboys, that he's not going to be prepared for? I find that very hard to believe, but crazy things have happened, and it is the wild card, and anything could happen. This game could go either way. We didn't predict blowouts for the 49ers against this Cowboys team. We predicted these things to be close, to be tight. The rivalry is renewed, and neither one of these teams is going to just let the other team take this thing. It's going to be sort of a body bag game yet again, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of body bag games for the rest of the year for the 49ers, the way that they've been playing, and just the opponents they have to face on the road to a Super Bowl. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough, but you know what? I'm all for it. You're all for it as well. And Cutback Crew, hopefully you're for it as well.
Yeah, Bully Bowl is a real thing that we've been, talking about Bully Bowl in San Francisco for, all year long. And I think that Bully Bowl is here. And let's see if it'll work in the playoffs. It should, because running game and playing good defense is how you win in the playoffs. Warriors are built to win in the playoffs. Sometimes when you're built for playoff football, getting through the regular season can be a little bit more complicated. Let's hope that's the case. And they're actually built for the playoffs. They're going to be able to go in there and handle business. But you're right. Every single game is going to, it's going to be a tough game. The 49ers are going to have to go impose their will. They're going to have to be the more physical team. They're going to have to go take it to the Cowboys, and they're going to have to break their will. And if you do that, when you're a powerful run team and you stop the run and you break someone's will, that is when you know that you actually own them. And so hopefully the 49ers can get out there and do that. It's the funnest part of football. And so I'm hoping they win this playoff game. I think they can win this playoff game, but they have to go out there and execute this run game first. And once they do, everything else opens up.
Look, I agree with you. We'll see what happens. Bully Bowl, though, in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. We'll see if it wears this team down. We'll see if this Niners team can come out of this thing with a big victory. And Cutback Crew, let us know what you think the game plan should be. Do you disagree? Niners need to come out and sling this bad boy and just blitz Dak Prescott all over the place. We want to hear from you, so leave it down in the comment section below right now. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell. And if you missed the Friday Frenzy, guess what? It's Saturday. You got a lot of time. Yes, there's some football games on today, but it's not your Niners. It's not your Niners. So unless you're invested and lock it up, head on over. Watch the rest of the Friday Frenzy. Get caught up right now. 4 great episodes, 4 great content, 4 great videos with content for you to enjoy, including the Madden Sim and a game preview show.
Yeah, exactly. Hop over there, check it out. You can really see our key matchups of what we put in the game preview show. And that's part of it. I mean, this all builds to that. From film of Know Your Opponent. We just kind of put it all together in the game plan video. This is a culmination of, but if you want to go hear, what we had to say about the key matchups, we actually point out, player matchups that you might want to, be paying attention to and why we think those are either advantage or disadvantage for the 49ers. So hop over there and check that out. You got a little bit of time. If this is Saturday, it's not Sunday yet. So go check out some 49ers content right here on the 49ers Cutback.
Hey, and even if it's Sunday, and if you're checking this out on a Sunday, early in the day, hopefully, well, then you might have a little bit of time. And if you're watching this on Monday, then you're late.
Well, and everyone voting for the Eagles Tampa Bay, but no one voted for that game, so you're not going to be watching it probably. No. So hop over and watch our content instead.
Absolutely, I agree with Ant 100%. He is the most accurate, and that's actually what I'm worried about, because if he's accurate again today, and lock it up could be going back to back to him. But hey, it's fine. You know what? It is what it is. It's A-okay. Cutback Crew. We'll see you for the game reaction show, and hopefully we're having a big celebration. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.